Good morning, viewers. Nice to see you again. Today, we're going to do an all-in-one garden, lava, fruit tasting, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to combine it all into one segment today because I only have little this, little that, little this, little that to talk about. And so, first off, lava garden report. You notice I haven't been doing any lava and garden reports lately because there has been no lava. Okay? But I've got a couple of emails from people who have been watching videos on the web who are seeing videos show up, I guess on YouTube, where people are talking about the current lava flows here on the island. Well, I don't know where these guys are living, Mars, because there are no lava flows currently here on the island. There is almost no activity at all. In fact, the last flow we did have, the one there at Leilani Estates, when it flowed into County Park at Isaac Holly, that has now been reopened. We can go back into the county park, which is a great place to begin with. Now it's maybe even better because it's become a beautiful black sand beach, one of the finest looking ones on the entire island. Part of the shoreline that had been, pretty calm for water, but very rocky and hard to walk in, is now covered in nice sheets of black sand. For the boaters, unfortunately, the boat ramp area, that has been walled in by a spit of black sand over there, and so now what we have is this beautiful little calm swimming pool for the kiddies where the boat landing used to be. But whatever, the park is still there and it's open again, so that's part of the lava report today. There is no lava and the park is open. Come on down. The other is that despite the fact that there really aren't any eruptions, there's nothing really interesting with the volcano going on here at all. The earthquakes have subsided. It's really been kind of dull lately. I don't have any fire in the southern sky, but twice so far, and particularly this morning, I woke up and, oh my goodness, the air smelled like somebody backed up their catalytic converter. Just pure sulfur stink. Now, that appears to be one of the major emissions coming out of the volcano right now is steam laden with sulfur. So we get these sulfur steam vents. If you go up into the national park, it smells pretty good up there. Lots of steam rising all over the place out of the caldera. No lava, no nothing as far as being real exciting, but man, there's a lot of sulfur. Well, I think what happened is that last night the wind stopped, the temperature really dropped. We went down into the mid-50s here, and I think that the air at 4,000 feet up in the volcano gradually was settling downhill because there was no wind, and it settled in here. I went out this morning to have a look at the sunrise, and oh my goodness, phew, did it smell. It's clear now. The breeze started, it's gone, but so we're still getting some effect. Yeah, but it's mostly just pure sulfur, not sulfur dioxide. So that's happening, and in relationship then to the cool air at night that we're having, there are no coqui frogs. Oh, it's wonderful. I love it. When the temperature drops below 60, the coqui frog shut clean up. You can even hear a cricket. It's really, really nice. I have to remember in August when I'm going stark raving mad with the thing screaming in my bedroom window at midnight, that there are a few months of the year here at 1,600 feet when it gets cool enough at night that them little son of a gun shut right up. I gotta remember that. We get maybe 2 months a year with peaceful nights because of it. So that's the news on the volcano and the coqui frog report. I did have somebody on the Kona side talking to me about using baking soda on coqui frogs. Now, I'm sure it does work, though I find it's much more expensive than the hydrated lime. It's probably more in the category, actually, of citric acid, which is pretty pricey, too. I've had very good results with the hydrated lime out here right around the front of the house where I like to sit in the evening. They were croaking up a storm a week ago, but I hit them face first, and they shut up. They left. Yeah, so then one of the other things I wanted to report on today was I dropped my Williams bananas over here. I got sick and tired of them things cracking down in the windstorms. Even though I had cross bucks of bamboo trying to hold them up and stuff, they still come down. So I cut the whole patch down that had accidentally got started in my garden, and I moved 6 of the stalks, the keiki, up the hill here into a more wind-sheltered location where they'll probably grow with less problems. The entire thing started because a friend of mine looked at my Williams bananas and he swore, no, it had bunchy top virus. I disagreed, but I said, well, it's no harm. If you're worried about it, man, just pull the thing up. Well, you know, you don't need to grind them, spray them, do anything with them. If you have a bunchy top infected banana, really all you got to do is get it out of the ground and let it die, because the only vector we really have other than human tools, hands, is an aphid. And if the plant's dead, disease is dead, it doesn't spread anymore. So I told him, take that banana and just whip it out here in the cow pasture. Well, a darn thing, as usual, took root out in the cow pasture and sprung up a beautiful patch of Williams, which the next time I saw my buddy, I said, what do you think about that bunchy top now? Well, I guess I was wrong. He says, yeah, you were wrong. That's a strong plant. You threw it in the cow pasture and it took off and made a patch. Yeah, so I'll show you over here what we did. You all might remember from past videos that there was this big patch of bananas over here. Yeah, well, now I got about 3 high stumps in there that I left just because they have some little keiki in the bottom, and I'm going to let them draw the energy out of the stumps, and then I'll cut the keiki loose, put them in the nursery, and then finally level it. There is 1 stalk left here complete because it had a bunch of bananas that are working on ripening. So it'll be a month or so before I can get this completely out of here. But you can see right over there, there were bamboo poles that I had in an X cross brace. Didn't do any good, just come over. That darn Williams bananas do not anchor in this soil at all. They have to be almost completely still, no breeze. And unfortunately for us, we get a heck of a breeze coming off the Pacific, heading right up the driveway over here, and it takes them down. So we did those in, and I got 6 brand new Williams up the hill in a better spot. This spot here, as soon as I get it all cleaned up, is going to become a avocado. Yes, yes, yes. Then yesterday I noticed that I had some coffee trees back here that were encroaching. 2 of them that were closing in on my Fuyu persimmon. There was one closing in on my Eureka lemon. I had another closing in on a chocolate sapote up there. And then another one growing into my favorite Abiu. So I got up this morning and I went out there with my chainsaw. Anyway, as I was wandering around up there, I happened to notice that there was fruit in my favorite Abiu tree. And wow, I mean, I had to pick them and get them down and actually look at them before I realized how amazing this is. Look at these things. They're huge. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. They're almost obscene for an Abiu. I mean, there you can see my hand by comparison. I do not have a particularly small hand. These things are 4 inches in diameter. They're enormous. They're getting bigger every time that fruits. I don't know how big they're going to get. One of these days we're going to have grapefruit-sized Abius. I don't know. Anyway, I'll have a few seeds coming on this tree for those of you who are interested. But as traditional, I am going to do an Abiu tasting. Oh, yes. Oh, so beautiful inside. Oh, look. So beautiful inside. Oh, it's perfect. Perfect. No brown spots. Oh, man. Oh. Oh. Too good. Oh, that is so good. Man. Mm. Mm. Oh, and very little latex. Well, a little bit. I didn't use a spoon, so I got a little bit along the lip here. So it does have some latex. It's not completely latex free. But man, oh man, what an Abiu. I tell you. Look at that baby. Oh. Mmm. Oh. And this is the fruit that needs more exposure in America today. Ah. Easy to eat, sweet, delicious, juicy, refreshing. Mm. I mean, truly, there are a lot of tropical fruit that I can probably sort of do without. This is definitely on my A list. Mm. This morning I had a look at the emails I had on YouTube after posting the Green Garden Guy plant sale here. Buy one, get one, come on down. I got what I expected, and that was quite a few people who don't live in Hawaii wishing they did live in Hawaii so they could come shop at my plant sale, and I hardly blame you. The prices are killer. You can't find stuff like this practically anywhere for the price I'm selling it for. But it reminds me, in the, I had a guy in Canada tell me about how his kid loves it up there in the snow, and stuff. And and I got back to him and I said, I lived in Chicago for a good part of my childhood, and then lived in northern Wisconsin up near Lake Superior for quite a few years, 15, 16 years there, from my 20s to in my 40s. And I swear I loved it there. I mean, it gets, 40, 50 below zero sometimes, and 30 below at least every year. But I still say I loved it there. I ruined one knee cross-country skiing. I ruined the other knee by putting it through the bottom of a hard maple toboggan at probably about 50 miles an hour. I damaged my sacrum ice skating, not dislocated it. On and on. I could continue like that. There's a trick spot in my back over here from cutting firewood with a chainsaw and so forth. But I loved it there. I know when I first moved out to California, that was not my first time living in a mild climate, but it really sucked. It sunk in after, so many years living in the North Woods where it really got cold. You had to put up piles of potatoes for the winter, piles of firewood to keep from freezing, and middle of January, the only thing fresh to eat had blood coursing through its veins, It was kind of that sort of environment. When I moved out to California, I started putting up massive amounts of food from the summer, not realizing that there was going to be food all winter long coming out of the garden too, and that I didn't need to do that anymore. I kept looking around for my ice scraper. It took me several years to thaw the ice out after moving to California. The difference between California and Hawaii is not that great, but I had quite a few comments this morning about people wishing they lived here, and like I said, we get used to living wherever we live, and most of us love where we live, and that's a good thing. I've lived many places, and for the most part, I've liked most of them for one reason or another. Chicago had great hot dogs, real good pizza, and a lot of good music, good art museums, and so on. So, there's stuff to be said about everywhere. When it comes to creature comfort and the weather, though, being out a week before Christmas planting sweet corn around here, that's hard to beat. Wandering around the fields and picking oranges and picking pineapples and so on. Sending my friends on the mainland dried bananas for Christmas, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I get a kick out of it. I do think this is an absolutely wonderful place to live. I no longer freeze. We did get down, I thought I saw it said 53 degrees last night. So, yeah, that's about as cold as it ever gets. That's really a wintertime night, mid-50s is pretty normal at this elevation. It'd be in the 60s down in Hilo if you're at the shore, but it's cooler up here. But it's really great because the frogs shut up when it gets cool. So, yeah, it's a great place. Love it. Aloha and hang loose.